ladies and gentlemen. It's my pleasure today to be with someone who is a matter of intrigue for me also from the word go. Because when I came to know that I would be in conversation with someone who is going to be talking about the conspiracy theories, who is going to be talking about a wonderful, wonderful leader and an ideal, iconic stalwart of Indian political scenario, I did not imagine that I would be meeting this soft spoken literary gentleman who looks almost too benign to be true. But it is upon talking to him for a brief 5 to 10 minutes and then going through the PDF that he shared with me about his book, From Shadows to Light, I realized the tenacity and the steel of the journalistic mind, of a mind who has been schooled in the art of peeling the onion, so to say. I present to you Sumeru Roy Chaudhury. And we will be talking about his book From Shadows to Light, which is the fourth, as I understand, in the series of his work upon Netaji Subhas Chandra Bose and the theories, the conspiracy theories surrounding his rather mysterious disappearance, mysterious and abrupt disappearance from the Indian scene, from the Indian political scene. But as he says in the preface of his book, we believe what we want to believe. So, my question to you right in the beginning is, why are we not able to believe that Netaji is not with us?
First, let me thank the Banaras Lit Festival 2025 organizers to give me a chance to come here, present my book here, and to Pratima ji for being in conversation with me. Coming to your question, why people do not want to believe that Netaji's mortal end had come is because of the deep love for him, dependency that the Indian citizens had become on him. That is why people would not like to believe that he really his end came in 1945. This is the emotional part. The factual part is because after the news of his death was announced by the Japanese media on 23rd of August 1945, his body was not handed over to the Indians. There was no death certificate in his name, and the cremation records also didn't show his name in the records over there. So all these things added with contradicting stories of he being sighted somewhere in different parts of East Asia and Southeast Asia, these things added up to the disbelief of the people that Netaji had really died. Added to that was his mysterious disappearance from Calcutta in 1945, betraying all the securities that were surrounded his house in 1941. He escaped from there. From Calcutta, he went to Berlin via Kabul, Moscow, and then he reached over there. This also is this added to that Netaji could do such things. Not only that, the other mystery was his travel from Germany to Sumatra, 90 days submarine travel, where he changed submarines from a German submarine to a Japanese one in Madagascar. The oceans infested by the Allied ships. He could do that. So people thought this must be another deception. He must have gone somewhere. Netaji cannot die. Netaji cannot be caught. That is the reason why people did not believe on those days.
Very prophetic. As we speak about the probable disappearance and appearance, we are surrounded by the shroud of smoke, almost as if his apparition is going to appear any moment and confront us. What I want to ask you is that imagine not imagine, but just look back upon the India of those times. We had political stalwarts like the Mahatma himself. We had, of course, the very charismatic and dynamic Jawaharlal Nehru. We had the Iron Man of India, Sardar Vallabh Patel, and literally an entire galaxy of political who's who. At that point of time, this gentleman who's a confirmed anti-establishment, who's a confirmed contrarian, is not given that kind of importance. His ideology is, if not discarded, but it is upheld as something which is not akin to the practice of the nonviolence ideology of the Mahatma, the peace movement of the anti-independence claiming. But ironically, the moment it is proven, the moment it is learned that he is no more, the entire nation is besotted with him. And the entire nation now starts hailing him as somebody larger than life. So, what was it about him that denied him his place when he was really there? And that sent him up to such high levels of adulation when he was not there. What could have been the political undercurrent, so to say, according to you in your research? Have you come across any such thought?
See, I mean, there are two parts about the people of that era when Netaji Subhas was living, and the people of nowadays when he is no more. In those days, the admiration for Netaji was because of his revolutionary spirit, his leadership, his determination to get India free, his path to freedom, which differed from the mainstream Congress led by Gandhiji, his role in the INA, his global connect, all these things had fascinated the people of those times. And that is why he was looked upon as larger than all the other leaders. He became the Congress president twice, despite the opposition from the Gandhian side. This was one stage. And now what has happened here also, in the post-independence stage, there are two stages. One is the initial stages. About his death, the disbelief was there because of the investigations on his death, which were carried out during those days, early days, 1945-46. Those did not surface. It was kept under wraps. It was with the Allied forces. We didn't know about it. The people didn't know about it. That is why the impression people thought that it is the ruling dispensation then. Say, if I name, say, the Nehru times, the people used to think that Nehru is hiding something, hiding some truth. Coupled with whatever transpired from the earlier thoughts of the people. So that was the time when it was more anti-Nehru, that thing which projected Netaji a bit more, and people didn't believe that he really did die. And later on, nowadays, in the recent decade or so, it is more of another type of political usage of him, if I may say, to pit someone against the old guards of the Congress, Nehru, Gandhi and all. Since he had rebelled against Gandhi, so there's a tendency to use him to portray Gandhi or Nehru in a different light. So these are the main reasons. And if I want to talk about the various investigations, till now, there were 13 I would scale it down to 11. 11 investigations that took place so far on his death.
So, apart from John F. Kennedy, whose death and whose shooting stirred up much media hype, much public, speculation and conjecture, and to date, everyone in the press enjoys a rerun of speculations about JFK's death and the theories thereof. But in spite of that, somewhere these stories have found an anchor in some sort of belief. But like you said, 11 commissions set up to inquire whether the gentleman is truly alive or not. So there is one section of the public which is very insistent upon not letting him die, almost urging through so many articles, through so many platforms, saying that we want proof of his death. And then there are the commissions which are kind of valiantly trying to prove that he is not alive. I want to understand what could be this crossfire of agendas that drives a populace to either proclaim him dead from the government side, from the ruling party side, so to say, and a very fervently believing population that somehow is looking for a resurrection. It is almost as if he was sighted here, he was sighted there, and mind you, there is a big Baba theory also, which has really caught public imagination about Netaji becoming a hermit and suddenly appearing like Kalki in this Kalyug and delivering India from the clutches of whatever perceived oppression there is. What do you think could have driven the government's agenda? And by government, I mean a very ubiquitous umbrella of ruling party, whichever may be at that point.
To add to your JFK this thing, I would say regarding Hitler also, there's a strong belief among some uh, that he did not die. He had fled to Argentina and he had lived a life over there. And many in America and Europe, many believed that really did not die. Similarly, with Netaji also, this has happened. To know about his development, we have to look at it like this. As I was talking about the 11 Commission, what happened is soon after this announcement of his death, uh, the British, he was the Britishers' enemy number one. He was the most uncompromising. Others could be talked to be reasoned, but Netaji was totally uncompromising. So he was enemy number one of the British. So when the news of his death was announced by the Japanese news agency, the British had the doubt. They too thought it was another deception. So Lord Mountbatten, who was then in Singapore, uh, leading the Allied forces from there, inquired to MacArthur, who was leading the American side, to find out from Japan what really happened. And this inquiry was sent on 30th August, within a week of the announcement of his death. And by 19th of September 1945, the Japanese preliminary report gave it in detail that Netaji had died. The British India government too did not believe in it, so they sent the inspectors, superintendents to inquire. Finney and Davis, to the team led by Finney and Davis, to Bangkok, Saigon, and Taihupu, where the plane had crashed. The news of the plane crash had come. They also went on for inspection there. They came back, and by October, they also gave that news that Netaji did die. The plane crash did happen, and he died over there. Britishers were more or less satisfied. Okay, we don't have to chase Netaji. But the rumor of Netaji not being alive, not dying, was very much up here in India. Because these two reports were not published, made public. So the rumor was such that the Allied forces then again deputed Colonel Figgis of the intelligence branch to find out what really the truth is. Figgis interviewed a lot of eyewitnesses, and in July 46, he submitted a report confirming that he did die on 18th August 1945. A report also followed from Captain Turner in October 1946. So after these four reports were there, the Allied forces were convinced, and they stopped the chasing of Netaji. But Indians did not believe in this. A lot of stories started coming in. The CIA file also, if you look back, of 1945, is confirming his death. But all these things were not known to us. We came to know about these reports only in this century. And in India, in 2016, when this Modi government declassified the remaining 304 files on Netaji and the INA, we came to know only 2016. In the 50s, his death, the mystery surrounding his death, was cashed in by the, you can say, anti-communist lobby. What we know now, we didn't understand then. We now know that the Russian theory, which was very prevalent in the early 50s and 60s, no one in the 1945, 46, 47, no one said that he had gone to Russia. That time he was being seen in Dallas, in Shanghai, in Peking, in Hanoi, on all these Southeast Asian countries. No one at that time had said he has fled to Russia. The Russian theory generated in 1950s. It was a CIA ploy to paint Russia badly to the Indians, because at that time Nehru had a good relation with the Russia. To spoil Nehru's name, this Russian theory was floated that he had escaped to Russia, and finally the Russians killed him over there. So it's a bad name to the Russia. This theory was very much dominant all through the few decades from 50s, and it ended as soon as the Soviet Union got dismantled. The purpose of that theory sort of ended, and so came the other theory to disgrace the then ruling Congress party. That is the Baba theory. This Gumnami Baba story that started in post 1985. It was said that Gumnami died in September 1985. But no one before that, in 1985, no one knew about any Baba, Netaji or something, in the Netaji in the guise of a Baba staying somewhere over there. No one knew. This story started only from end of October 1985. Then also, it is to discredit the previous government, the then ruling government. But this Baba theory, if you can say, I mean, this regarding the story, if I totally say about mystifying Netaji, there were 16 stories on Netaji's life since 1945. Out of the 16, 9 were the Baba stories. Though the Russian theory was started in 1950s, 1960s, 1964, another Baba who became very famous as Netaji was Shaulumari Sadhu. A sadhu who was seen in Falakata near Jalpaiguri in North Bengal. That Shaulumari Sadhu story was had hit the headlines those days so much that the CIA reports of 1964 states that it is believed by the Indians that Netaji has resurfaced over there. But finally, the parliament had sent a delegation over there and found out that no, it was no Netaji. And the Baba himself wasn't aware that his name was being used as Netaji. When he came to know about it, he came out public and said, I am no Netaji. He left Falakata from there and it shifted to Dehradun in 1967. And finally, he expired in 1977 in Dehradun. So in between there were 9 Babas, of which Gumnami Baba, again, Baba who became quite famous. A film was made. The books were sold at high price. It clicked to the people's mind because people want mystery. This Gumnami Baba story has been rejected by 2 commissions. The Mukherjee Commission that was set up in 1999, that rejected the Gumnami Baba story. And again, the Sahai Commission that was set up by the UP government in 2016, that also negated the Gumnami Baba story. Yet, it appeals to the people. Many people do not want to believe he died.
I don't blame the people. I mean, if you trace his, etiology or trace the course of his life from a child who was born in Odisha, who grew up as an adolescent, being deeply, and as a youth, being deeply impressed by the teachings of Vivekananda, goes on to Presidency College, Calcutta, and gets promptly thrown out for insubordination and for talking back to a professor who was in the habit of making slightly racist and downgrading comments about Indians, so on and so forth. And then got into Scottish College again. Went on to do brilliantly in the qualifying civil services examinations, but at that point of time also again went on into something which was very anti-establishment, gave up the service and joined the Congress, right? Because he wanted to have and pursue his fervor of nationalism. After that, he goes on suddenly to disappear out of public life, surfaces somewhere with the Indian National Army with all the sloganeering and things like that. So if you see, his life has been shrouded sometimes deliberately and consciously by his own design. He leaves question marks and speculations in his trail. So here is another theory and another conjecture. Since you are such a avid cracker of this crossword of Netaji's life, here's another theory. Could he have propounded and sort of circulated this little misinformation about his death, and could there have been another design to really surface? Isn't it very easy for people to believe this of him? Those who knew him, those who have walked the path with him, isn't it become very easy to believe this of a very erratic, contrary kind of a person who disappears, follows the will and whim of his own heart, comes back with an army, with an entire army by talking to the Germans? I mean, who they knew at that point of time were not the kind who were exactly wanting to collaborate and do things. So do you think this could have been generated by him also? And somehow his death kind of compounded everything else.
It- this character of
Pure fiction on my part.
Yeah, no, this character of his has been very successfully utilized by all these conspiracy theorists.
Okay. So it has been fodder actually
Yeah,
for speculation.
no, not only this Gumnami, this thing. It didn't end with Gumnami. The successful Gumnamist, the story says that he died in September 1985. But in the Gumnamist group, there's another faction. There are two factions in that, and I call them Mahakalis. They actually this Gumnami Baba. They gave multiple names. One is Gumnami Baba, the other is the Bhagwanji, and the other is the Mahakal. The Mahakalis faction, they say, no, Gumnami did not die in 1985. And in support of that theory of the Mahakalis, there's similar to Netaji's, as I said, that his dead body was not shown to Gumnami, who died in 85. His dead body was not shown to anyone. No one knows. There's no photographic evidence he died. There's no death certificate of him. There's no cremation certificate of him. These Mahakalis say that was another escape of Netaji, their Netaji, that he escaped on that day, and they say there is now he is living in Ganganj, a place somewhere, indicating it's somewhere in Himalayas where there's no aging. People do not age in that place. There are many sadhus who are still living over there. They sometimes come back to the plainlands for their whatever reasons. And this Netaji also, this Mahakalis Netaji will also come back someday when need arises, as if need has not arisen.
So, okay, another question to you is, you who have researched so extensively and done such a mammoth deep dive into all these conspiracy theories and things like that, now you've written 4 books, okay? What drives you? What drives you? I mean, one is that you are an avid cracker of codes. One is that you just love to solve a mystery that has not been ever fathomed. And at the end of that entire endeavor is the fact that, okay, now I know out of the 11 theories or 13 theories or 14 theories that were propounded about his death, I have laid to rest all of them. And now I have solved that there is nothing like him being alive. You have finally laid him to rest. Was that the objective of all this extensive research and these 4 books? Or were you looking for something else? What prompted you to do this deep dive? Why are you so concerned?
It was my admiration for Netaji, for his, this, as I said, the revolutionary spirit, his leadership, and his path to India's independence, which differed from the General Congress, this thing. And this deep admiration for him, I could not stand that people trying to tell stories that he hid himself from the people whom he led for 40 years, and he was in hiding somewhere in different parts of his Uttar Pradesh. Such character, such person cannot be like that. And I find everywhere, different. There are a lot of Bengali and English books about his mysterious resurfacing and this. I find no book saying that these are all false. These are all lies. So this prompted me to say, no, I must record it. I started it in the social media, Facebook and WhatsApp groups. WhatsApp wasn't that popular in the early days. It was Facebook. I started exposing all these things with documentary proof with each of my statement. In the book also you'll find it is half of my book is really statement, this thing, and rest is all copies of the documents in support, the legally valid documents. It's not just newspaper reports. Newspaper reports is not so valid. It's legally valid documents you'll find in this book. This is the reason I started in the social media. And then I started getting threats, abuses, and the threats were really physical threats. So I thought I must record it through books. So whatever comes in future, these things will be recorded. The Facebook and all these things can be wiped out someday, but books will remain. So I started noting down and bringing out this book. My books are not storybook type. Mine is a documentary type of book. So first it was the Russian theory which I took. That was already a closed chapter by then. With the end of the Cold War, it was a closed chapter. So my first book was on the Russian theory. The Russian theory is a fancy. So that was my first book. Then when that was completed, then I took up this Gumnami one. That book was Netaji as Gumnami, India's biggest hoax. Then came what is required now, what we should do, what we should ask the government to do, what the government should do. That is to bring his remains from Renkoji temple, bring to India and laid it to give a sort of, put up a memorial, let his daughter complete the rituals that are required to be the shraddh, what is required to be done, that to be done. And the fourth one was what I found during my research, that is Japan's involvement in the crash. This is something which no one has recorded in any way. Japan's involvement in the crash, that I can take up separately. Now, regarding this bringing of the ashes, what I would like to inform you also, that our present Prime Minister, Mr. Modi, when he was the Chief Minister of Gujarat, he himself had written a message to the chief priest in the name of the chief priest at Renkoji, sort of admiring his dedication to look after the Netaji's ashes for 60 years. Then it was 60 years. So he was very much aware that those are his Netaji's ashes. Even before the elections of 2014, he had promised in the public media also, once he becomes the if he becomes the prime minister, he will bring back the ashes. Though it hasn't happened, maybe the opportune time for him has not come. But he had promised this. This is in public. And this is not the first time he had done such a good thing. He had also Shyamji Krishn's ashes from Geneva. He's a Gujarati nationalist leader whose ashes were lying in Geneva for some 50 years or so. 50 years. Also, he had declared that he will bring the ashes, and as Gujarat Chief Minister, he did bring Shyamji's ashes from Geneva to Gujarat. So these are the things.
Sumeruji, some cynics say that in this country, you have to live and be alive to get appreciation. But in order to be revered, you have to be dead. So unless and until you die, you will not be recognized as truly great. So I think with this conversation, perhaps we can safely conclude that we have emerged from the shadows into light, and a great statesman and a great and charismatic leader, an icon of contrariness, anti-establishment and courage, has finally been laid to rest. Thank you so much for being in conversation with us today and for enlightening us.
Thank you very
The
much.
audience would want any question, we'll take it. Otherwise, thank you for being with us.
Regarding the DNA test, what I say, there's already a report from the CFSL the expert if there are live parts over there, the DNA can prove that it is a part of a member of the Netaji family.
That's right.
It cannot say it is of Netaji. It could be his brother. Pardon?
We cannot conclusively prove that. That is what he said.
He had, there were 14 brothers and sisters. And no, many people, knowing this, many of the conspiracy theorists are not in favor of DNA test. They point out that it is not his, it is his brother's. Yeah, they say someone else's has been put over there. So even if you bring, and even if the DNA test can be done, and if the DNA test gives the result that it is of the Netaji's family, they will say, no, it is not Netaji's. They'll say, it is Netaji's brother. His elder brother died in 1949. Yeah. I know, I didn't debunk. It is all the justices, inquiry commission, investigators, invigilators, investigators, they had debunked. I just brought those to surface. I didn't, it was, my aim was not to just bring out the truth. What I did is the truth that was suppressed, I brought them out. Because you will find no other book saying that he died. All these are conspiracy stories. You'll find many books on conspiracy stories. What box? Not a box. No. Gumnami, after the said Gumnami Baba died, in his small room, they found out 25 trunks. 25 in that small room. Yeah, I'll update you on that. I'll update you on that. The court had ordered, the Allahabad High Court had ordered to list out all the items. 2,763 items were found in those 25 trunks. And they said Netaji used to carry all this thing from Germany, from Kolkata to Germany to Singapore to then Russia to China to Himalayas and to UP. Is that possible? Even if that is not those 2,700 odd, 2,700 items were listed. They were brought to the Ramkatha Sangrahalaya in Ayodhya, where it was supposed to be opened. It was 2018 or so, and this is true. It was Sangrahalaya has not been opened because No, but the people have seen it. The port people and those who were required to see, those who have the Sangrahalaya was not open because Gumnami was not proved as Netaji. There are so many Babas in India, you know. Why only a certain particular Baba will get? So since he was not Netaji, they may be auctioned. Who knows? Those things. Ah. Netaji.
There is the third line of the professor in his book, which says, "We believe what we want to believe." And I think that just about sums up our reaction and our thoughts and philosophy about Netaji. Thank you so much for being with us, ladies and gentlemen. Sumeru Roy Chaudhury.